You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
You're listening to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast, brought to you by Phil Better, Inc. If you want to take your podcast to the next level, make sure you book your free 15-minute call with Phil Better, the Podcast Mogul, at www.philbetterinc.com. Welcome back to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I am, of course, your host with the most, Phil Better, and today I am pleased to have the CEO of SEO, Mr. Steve Wiideman. Steve, please give us a quick introduction of yourself.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Phil. So I'm a search engine optimization strategist. I've been doing this for about 22 years. I run a small group here in La Mirada, California of about 9 employees. We work with a lot of multi-location brands like Applebee's and IHOP and Skechers and some e-commerce, some just kind of brick and mortar trying to get more traffic to their site from Google. I also teach as an adjunct professor at UC San Diego and at Cal State Fullerton. And I just published my first textbook through a company called Stukent, which is used by colleges and universities that want to basically use an online textbook. So now I'm an author, an adjunct professor, and a search nerd. So
Jesus.
Glad to be on the show and hoping to share as much as I can to provide as much value as I can.
Well, I can already tell you I'm already going to be having like at least a dozen questions, but more on the getting your textbook printed. So again, another first here on the podcast, we have a professor, an adjunct professor who has just released their first book. We did have a professor earlier on in the season talking about the 4 Ps, I believe. The planet, the people, the prospects, and stuff like that, but more
Nice.
customer service based, how that improves your sales. But now we have someone who teaches SEO.
Digital marketing.
Digital marketing. I love it. And this podcast is a digital marketing podcast because we talk with everybody in the digital world. So again, so thankful to have you on. How did you get started in the world of SEO?
I was always kind of a computer nerd. I was playing Oregon Trail on the Apple IIe back when I was a little kid, and
Love that
I was
game.
and Odell Lake, remember that? So I was always kind of nerding out on computers. And while I was in the military, in the little bits of free time that I had, I started exploring this whole new internet thing. Started building websites for fun, just to share things I was learning. I was reading a lot of self-help books and Nightingale Conant. I'm like, I need to figure out a way to organize this. So I started creating websites to throw all that stuff on there, my notes. I just really enjoyed it. Next thing I know, people are asking me to build websites for them. And then that evolved into, hey, can you help me actually get business from my website? So it's not just a name on a business card or a brochure. And so it just sort of evolved from, being somebody who liked to build websites to somebody who helped to market those websites. I was so passionate about it during my time at IBM that one day I had this epiphany, and moving files from what used to be something that would go to print servers and printers, like Xerox printers, would print these reports and ship them out. And my job was to profile them to allow the people who receive those reports to get them digitally. So I was using this program called Mobius View Direct, and I was, creating files that were meant to go to batch printers, batch jobs on printers to the internet. And I'm like, man, everybody's going to be online someday. Right around that time when I had that idea, I got a postcard from a technical school called Westwood that said, hey, how'd you like to get a degree in e-business management? And I was like the road runner. I was like, me, I was gone. And so my boss there at IBM paid for everybody's school except for mine, which motivated me even more to get the hell out of there. And as soon as what's that?
That's so odd that he would pay, they would pay for everybody but you, and you're doing.
Oh yeah, because I was the guy that if I wasn't in the position I was at, who would replace me? I was so entrepreneurial, like coming up with new ideas and innovations and ways to save the company money, that if I wasn't in that role, they wouldn't be able to replace it. So they're like, hey, if I sent you to college, that would mean you're going to want a different role, and I won't have anyone in that position. So I'm like, yeah, well, that's selfish, and I'm going to pay for this myself. A little help from mom. And, we were able to get that degree and get the heck out. My first job was with a ticketing company that was similar to Ticketmaster called Pacquiolin, where I actually got to do digital full-time as a career. And that was exciting. But the whole time I was moonlighting, doing websites and digital marketing and, continuously developing my passion for it. And you can imagine in the third year of school, and you're in an HTML class because you need to get enough credits. And, you're like, hey, I've been doing HTML since, the late 90s. And here I am in 2004. Yeah. So I was a little bit, what's the word?
Advanced.
Yeah. I had fun.
You were showing
I was showing off a lot. Yeah. And, but I was so helpful to the other students and to the teachers that were there that a lot of them, and some of the businesses I was helping at the time, nominated me for this. It was called the Career College Association Grade Award. Right. And I was one of 5 students to actually get to fly to New York. Actually, it was in DC. And I got this big, sort of national career college award for giving back, not just, being a good student, but giving back to other students and to faculty and to businesses. Meanwhile, working a full-time job at IBM and going to school full-time at night and having a wife that I was driving absolutely crazy with all the stuff going on. And it was an exciting journey. And, eventually I picked up a fun job with Disney Parks and Resorts, and I was running all of the Google ads and Bing ads and Ask.com ads with Jeeves back in the day for Disneyland Commerce, Disneyland Marketing, and Adventures by Disney, and enjoyed that a lot. Most of the team, ended up moving to Florida. I decided, hey, I'm gonna try the agency thing for a few years. Worked for a few agencies. Said this agency thing is not what I thought it was going to be. We had a couple kids. Decided, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna work, close to home and do some consulting and see if I can make it on my own. And that was in 2010, and I've never looked back. 11 years later, here I am, still making it on my own, and now I've got a amazing group of other digital marketing nerds to work with, some exciting brands that we get to test the frontiers of SEO with, and a lot of just really fun experiences.
So there was a lot that you mentioned in that brief history of awesomeness, I have to say.
Thank you.
The biggest thing is you found a partner that was willing to put up with all your craziness. Now that is amazing. I find that when I've been speaking with a lot of entrepreneurs, and since I'm single, I look to these entrepreneurs who have relationships and how they make it work. And it's like an entrepreneur does a lot of stuff, and their time is, as you know, super valuable. And the fact that family time is so important as well. And you're hustling over here. You like you said, you were working full time, 40 hours at least at IBM. You were doing at least 40 hours of school. That's 80 hours of work. Plus then there's sleep. That's 8 hours a day. That's another 40 hours.
And freelancing, doing digital marketing.
And the freelancing. And then you have your wife who's kind of like, what about me? And she was still willing to stay and put up with you. And now, obviously, her investment into you is probably paid dividends on dividends. when you were working for Disney, I have to know because I
Mhm.
grew up a Disney kid, love going to the Disney parks. I've
We
only
we were just there last week celebrating our 21st anniversary. So we're at Disney World in Florida last week.
no, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
When you were working for Disney, did you get free access to the parks?
Yeah. We had a silver pass that allowed you to get yourself and several guests into the park just by basically walking in. And I loved it on Wednesdays when I didn't have to drive to Burbank. I could actually drive to Anaheim, and they had a desk for me there, so I could work with the Disney marketing team in Anaheim. And so at lunchtime, I do brand immersion in the park, you know.
Sure you did.
So
Sure you did.
yeah. So Steve, what are you doing right now? I'm kind of on a ride. I'll call you back in a minute. That was a fun way to enjoy your lunch, to get to do some rides and explore the park.
Yeah, Disney sounds like the ultimate place for a kid
And the
at
culture
heart.
is amazing there. The corporate culture is just absolutely incredible. So full of creativity and life and humor. And, it comes with the same stresses of timelines and deadlines and policies as any other business does. But the people who make up the culture at Disney just make it a joy. Doesn't pay very well, but the perks and, the peace of mind of, working for an organization that values you, and team members that are collaborative and creative and not non-transparent is great. Yeah.
Yeah. From everything I've ever seen, because whenever there's something pops up on Disney, like Disney employees talk, and you're like, oh, this is where the dirt's coming out. Here's like how bad Disney really is. And then they're all talking about how wonderful Disney is. And you're like, I guess all those rumors about Disney being evil is not really true. Like the corporate side, maybe, the higher ups, they could be completely evil for all we know. But the everyday employee, the people who work there, the culture, all have nothing positive to say. So I'm glad the CEO of SEO has the same opinion of Disney. And also the fact that I'm super jealous that you got people who work at Disney get the ultimate, like, free pass to go in to ride Disneyland. It must never got boring to be able to go on these like rides.
I grew up at the parks, and like I said, my parents live across the street. So, for us, it was, most kids go home, they do their homework at the kitchen table. A couple of days a week, I would go home and run across the street with my backpack and do my homework in Carnation Plaza and enjoy the ambiance and, the atmosphere of the park. And that was something I think that kind of spoiled me a bit. But it was something that's always been, in a big part of our family history is Disney.
Well, yeah, no. Yeah, that is one heck of a way to spend and create the creativity, because you're in this place that's full of happiness. Like, it's the happiest place on earth, it's claimed to be. And you have all these creativity, like you see stars from your movies just walking around,
I saw Michael Jackson at Disneyland. I was young and huge Michael Jackson fan. My mom goes, "Don't turn around." I'm like, "Why?" And I turned around. I'm like, "Michael Jackson!" It was so funny. But yeah, Corey Feldman, who I was also a big fan of as a kid, and you never know who's going to show up at one of those theme parks. But here's the paradigm shift: as entrepreneurs, we're so able to pivot and adapt and change to things. I'm this Disneyland kid who grew up in Anaheim, and the choice comes up of, hey, do you want to get a job and pay rent, or do you want to go to college and and stay here? And I'm like, I think I want to join the military like my grandpa did, and then you choose a job based on what the recruiter recommends, because you trust everybody because you live in this fantasyland world, and you end up as an infantry soldier. So here you go from being this Hollywood, Southern Orange County surfing Disneyland kid to now being on the ground, under live fire and muddy trench holes and stuff. And you're like, what is going on? So that was a huge kind of growing up for me, but it really instilled a lot of, I don't want to use the word apathy, but the ability to say, you know what, I don't care, I'm just going to do it, as opposed to complaining. Like we would complain as a kid, from Anaheim, I'd complain about everything and anything. Oh, it's not good enough. I got to wear this and I got to do that. And the military teaches you none of that stuff matters. What matters is getting the job done and enjoying your life. And I thought that was such a huge mind shift from that whole, Disney, kid mentality. And it taught me the skills I needed to jump right into the job, to the workforce, and just kick butt and not complain about it.
Well, yeah, no, it obviously set you up for success in the
Corporate world.
In the corporate world, because I had to learn that in the corporate world, that it's not a fun place to grow up. I'll tell you that. It's a very cold place. Like, I would have rather grew up in the Disney and then jumped into the military, because at least there, it's not too cold, because you create the bondship. You create great bonds, because I've had multiple entrepreneurs who were former military on the podcast, and they credit joining the military as one of the best experiences, one of the terrifying experiences of their life, but it gave them the life lessons that helps them move forward and create amazing businesses, just
and
as you
show you
have.
what you're capable of, and to show you that all those stupid things you're whining and complaining about that are setting you back are not even worth your time. That's the funny part. So many people just hold themselves back from leaving the corporate world and being entrepreneurs because of those fears. And if you just go for it, you're not going to end up homeless if you've got drive. If you've got drive, people are going to see that. They're going to read into it. Clients are going to gravitate toward you. You're going to be successful, because you don't have fear. You don't have things that hold you back. But so I don't know if that's a takeaway, but hey, I thought we were talking about digital marketing today, Phil. I feel so bad. I'm all talking about me.
We're talking about everything, but yeah, we'll jump into the digital marketing. So one of the things I was reading, wait, here it is. Okay. So you have a favorite success. This is one of the questions I love asking my entrepreneurs, and yours just like crushed even harder. Your favorite success you've had. It could be personal, business. You put down a personal one of you helping your friends and families in the Philippines during the crisis last year. Can you maybe expand on that, and maybe how you used your knowledge in SEO to maybe help as well, or what was going on there?
Sure. Well, we work with a group down there called DSV, and DSV does a lot of task work for us and our clients. We recommend them all the time. They're ran by a girl named Deanna, who runs a really tight ship over there. I know sometimes it can be when you're outsourcing anything, the concern is you're just not going to get the quality that you're looking for. We finally found a group that nailed it for us. And we've been working with individuals in the Philippines for years, but this is the first time we've been with a group now for what feels like close to 2 years. And so last year, a major storm hit the area, and they said, hey, we're going to need some generators because, houses are flooded, and, we need to get this water out of their homes. The schools are all, flooded and closed. We need to get school supplies and some teachers, some things that they need to be able to teach, and students some things they need to be able to keep learning. So, we threw as much as we could in to try to help, support the teachers and the students. And it was just a fun experience, and I'll share the video with you after the
you put it into the
I did.
It's
okay,
cool.
So yeah, that was amazing, because we got to help. We got to help in a place where these kids, had literally had to stop going to school. The teachers had nothing to teach with, and the homes were just literally flooded with water. And so being able to do that, not just help the team, but help our team down there, who were were like lifesavers to the surrounding community where they're at. That was amazing, and I love the video. They threw us some pictures and some clips, and all of us over here were just super emotional about it, and it was neat. And so anytime we see an opportunity, when there's those moments as a small business where we can afford to help, we try to. We helped abolishslavery.org back in the day. We helped a group called Safe Passage out here in LA. And after doing a little bit of SEO work for them, Tyra Banks dropped off a pallet of food at a home for, abused women and children. We helped one of the hospitals, the children's hospitals, where the children had, different diseases and cancers and things. And we came in with all sorts of mittens and gloves and movies and fun things to try to cheer them up. So whenever those opportunities present themselves, and we've got the budget to make a difference, we've tried to give back. And it's it's fun. You get to meet some amazing people, help some, and incredible, individuals. And I don't know, it's just a great part of being an entrepreneur. It gives you the flexibility to do that. In a corporate environment, you're like, hey boss, can we throw $1,000 down for such and such, since I see you just wasted $1,000 on something we don't use, right? And like, yeah, no, we don't have our budget has to be allocated towards certain things, and it just never happens. So being an entrepreneur gives you that flexibility, and at the end of the day, it makes you feel really good that you're not just making money to try to get rich. You're making money to try to make a difference.
Yeah, I'm seeing that a lot in the younger entrepreneurs coming out, starting their own charity. I know one entrepreneur, a YouTuber goes by the name Joe Santagato, who one day hopefully will be on the podcast, but that's in the future. He actually just built his third water well in an African country. I unfortunately, it's like escaping me. I saw it a few days ago, but he partners with his Sanagato Studios, where he helps. He admits it himself that he feels like he does no work, so he has to do overwork. He helps his friends create their own industry and business in that same way he does. But he also was like, I'm going to help people in less fortunate places, because I have the opportunity, just like you're doing with what you did with in the Philippines, but also all the minor charities, because you come from I just lost the word.
Yeah.
It's a C
But I
word.
get it. I get it completely. And the feeling when you actually get to see the pictures and the videos, to know what you're doing is making a difference. Isn't just like, okay, I'm going to donate to the veterans organization because I'm a veteran and I want to help other veterans. Okay, that's okay. But you don't get to see the fruits of that. And, when those opportunities come up where you actually do get to help a real person, and then they send you these pictures, like, you did this, you helped these people, and they all wanted to thank you. And they put up a big sign that says, thank you. And you're just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah,
So it's such a great feeling.
I can't wait for that to happen for me. Just have that moment of just being a better person, if you will, of finally seeing, like, yes, I've helped hundreds of people with getting money for their podcasting through my business, but helping people like at a considered disadvantage, if you will, have something like you helped with the generators to clean out the schools or legal stuff to help them there, or the paper for schooling and that. So like seeing that direct impact, because when you donate to a charity, it's like, you don't know if it's going to the CEO's fund or paying someone's bill, or it's actually going to the people they're helping. So I'm looking forward to that. But you did have a lesson from failure that I want to touch on,
Sure.
Which I think is very important for entrepreneurs to know, is don't let the CEO make financial decisions. Can you explain?
Yeah, for sure. I am a digital marketer. I'm not a finance advisor. I didn't go to school for business finance. In fact, I didn't even go to school for a business degree. I went for an e-business degree to learn how to build, websites, how to run web servers, how to do, design and work with databases, how to work with Apache and Windows. And so for me, in a position where it's like, okay, you have to make financial decisions. You've got to make sure you're paying salaries. You can't just, hey, you made a bunch of money from this new account. You can't go and blow it on marketing, because you've got salaries to have to cover and expenses and office fees. And so it was a huge learning for me. And there were points where we had to take business loans. There were points where we had to do like cash advances and stuff, because we had no idea what we were doing. Over time, we learned how to put some money away. We learned how to make sure that you have other streams of income coming in beyond just the client services side, from affiliate marketing and training courses and things that can help generate enough money to cover salaries if and when a client decides they can't pay their bill. So yeah, it was a huge life lesson for us. And, and I'm glad we didn't take the offers, when the offers came in saying, hey, I see you're struggling a bit, we can come in and buy you out. Well, then what are you now? It's no longer, your company. It's someone else's company, and you're constrained by what their vision is. And you'll never have the ability to really see what you're capable of what you can do. So yeah, I think that was a huge learning for us. There were months where, I had to not take a salary and make sure that everybody else got paid. There were months where I had to borrow money from family, in the earlier days, even back in 2015, 16, 5 years ago, where I'd have to say, hey mom, I got to make salary and this client didn't pay their bill. And then they were always there for you. So I was lucky to have those, but a lot of entrepreneurs don't. And the advice that I have for them is stockpile, make sure there's money sitting away that's there for emergencies to cover at least 3 to 6 months of what your operating costs and salaries are. And if you've got that, anything surplus from that, use that for marketing, use that for investment, use that for, whatever, new things that you need, but don't spend until you've got that money put aside. And, avoid the loans, because that's, that puts you into even more of a debt. And business loans, sometimes if you look at the numbers on them, you're paying, so much interest that it's just a waste of money. Don't throw that money away. Just stockpile for a while, and borrow from yourself, not pay any interest.
There you go. That's some great advice right there, from someone who went through the struggles himself.
Oh, it was awful. Yeah, there were days I went home and I was just so, you're trying to be motivating to your team. You're trying to be the leader and be inspirational, right? And you're trying to be innovative. And yet you've got this huge weight on your shoulders of, oh my God, am I going to be able to pay my bills? It's probably the most scary part of being an entrepreneur, is not being able to pay your bills. And, there are tools and ways, and there's a tool called Fundbox that we love, Fundbox, and we get up to $50,000 of capital. So if and when a client doesn't pay their bills or on time, we can borrow from this Fundbox, pay it back before the first payment's due, and not pay any interest. So it's just a really great tool to give you an emergency surplus if you don't have that backup. But I don't want it to scare folks away from becoming entrepreneurs. But I do recall that being the most scary part of my entrepreneur journey, is just that moment of, oh my God, the client didn't pay. How am I going to pay all these people?
Yeah, no, I think it's a moment that all entrepreneurs go through. If you don't have that struggling moment where you're like tightening the belt it's just getting tighter and tighter, and then all of a sudden you get that whale, or you get that release that comes in of a client that just buys this extra. You sold the client on something a little extra, so you get that, I can breathe. Yep. I don't have to eat ramen anymore. I can go to spaghetti this time. I can upgrade my meal. So that is interesting. This Fundbox I never heard of, so that I'm going to be interested in taking a look out of. I kind of want to move more into your domain, the SEO, because sure. I'm always interested in that. And
I know a little about that stuff.
You have a dabbling in the world of SEO, but you also have a podcast, if I'm not mistaken.
I do. We started one just to kind of see if we could have a way or a means to share some really good content around what we do, to talk to other experts, to solve problems that other experts have and other entrepreneurs have in digital marketing. So we called it Unbottlenecked. The idea is to unbottleneck your digital marketing problems. Like what is the problem? Is it analytics? Is it content writing? Is it performing a technical SEO audit? What are the bottlenecks keeping you from being successful with your digital marketing? And so we've been bringing on guests to talk through some of those pain points and get a little bit of context on what worked, what doesn't work, and strategies and tips. And it's been fun. I need to work on making it a little bit shorter, because I'm such a nerd with this content that we'll talk for like an hour and a half sometimes. But I want to try to get it down to like 30 minutes, so we get just sort of the enough to give the listener what they're looking for without overwhelming them or making them listen for an hour and a half. Don't want to be a Joe Rogan, right? But I definitely want to provide as much value in a very short time span as I can.
Oh, I get it. I'm starting a podcast just on podcasting.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I run at least.
That's so meta.
Yeah. It's so through this podcast series that I'm doing, I started the Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur podcast, because I wanted to learn how to be an entrepreneur, because in my whole life, never had any entrepreneurs. Looking back, I realized I had a lot of entrepreneurs. I just didn't know what an entrepreneur was. Yeah. Like, it's a business owner. Someone who starts their own business, that's an entrepreneur. Someone who sells a service, that's an entrepreneur. Like, artists are entrepreneurs because they're building their own business. I just never realized that, because for me, an entrepreneur was like a Gary Vee, someone's uber successful. And so I never had any of those uber successful people in my life. And then as I've been interviewing, we're finishing up season 4. You're actually final guest of season 4. The CEO of SEO is
All right.
closing out the season. So that's great. And we would have been finished a couple weeks ago, but we had you had the situation emergency, which fully understandable. You're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner. This is extra on top of your daily life. So that's why I like to keep everything concise.
Yeah, between teaching 9 classes, trying to meet textbook deadlines, and managing 2 of the largest restaurant franchises as SEO strategy, I do have a ridiculous schedule, but I love it. I love it though, because it's so rewarding. At the end of the day, I get to go home and go, wow, I can't believe what I got accomplished today. And it's just a great feeling. It really is.
I can only imagine. I want to know, have you seen any positive impact from podcasting helping your SEO?
Yeah, actually quite a bit. And some cases, we get mentioned with words that align with kind of some of the words that we like to appear for. I'm seeing myself show up now for a lot more like multi-location SEO expert and things that I put in my bio that get mentioned on those podcast shows. Sometimes we get links from them, which benefit your search engine optimization. When we think about SEO, right? There's those 3 areas: your on page, and your off page, and then the user behavior signals of what search engines see. So the podcast part's great because it gives you a little bit of all of that, right? It gives you some on page on someone else's site that that Google's going to crawl and look for words that correspond to your name. There's the off page side of it where hopefully you get some links back to your site, and then there's that user behavior signal when people are doing searches for us now. If you search for my name, you'll actually see a lot of the podcast recordings that I'm on with little video thumbnails and so forth. So I'm getting more of that universal search saturation and more of the real estate in search results by doing podcasts, as opposed to just your blue links and black text. So it's been a huge part of our overall digital marketing is trying to contribute to podcasts, and likewise doing our own podcast to put some great content out there.
Yeah, I love it. That's why I love podcasting. I love talking to people because, one, I get more knowledge because I have zero knowledge in SEO. I know podcasting helps because I've been reading. I live in the world of podcasting, just like you live in the world of SEO. But Google's now, Google's learning how to listen, which is insane. It's learning to listen, so they have the Google.
They're trying to understand intent, not trying to match your keyword with a keyword that's used in a title tag, which is fantastic. This is what we want. We want Google to understand what we need, regardless of what words we used when we searched. So I think it's a fantastic evolution of search results, and I hope that all the other search engines follow suit.
Generally, they do with what Google does, because Google owns the internet. Google and Facebook are pretty much Google, Amazon, and Facebook own the internet at this moment. So what they do kind of sets up the rest of the world. But so I'm glad to see that you've been seeing positive aspects of podcasting, because that reassures me, and then I can reassure my clients that, yes, it does actually work. Lesson you want to impart, because we are coming to the end of the episode, and I don't want to take too much more of your time because you do have a crazy busy schedule. So get that taken care of.
No worries.
What is a lesson you would want to impart on my listeners?
Well, let's see. I guess 2, right? Lesson 1 around entrepreneurship. I would say have a really good plan. Talk to somebody who specializes in business plans and marketing plans, and sit down and really design out, what you're going to be doing over the next 3 to 5 years. That first year is going to fly by. So, really get that 3 to 5 year plan written out, timeline. Who's going to do what? How much is it going to cost? What am I going to need? Get that plan together and stick to it. I know it can be really tempting when you get that big account to want to go blow some money. Don't stash it. I promise it'll pay off in the end, and you can, take the next one that you get and have some fun with it. Take that first one, stash it away. On the SEO side of things, I would say, if you haven't already taken a course in SEO, maybe start there. Maybe start by looking at some of the different courses that are available. I know Distilled has a great course. Yoast has a great course. I teach a course at Cal State Fullerton, and I've made a version of it, a very similar version of it at academyofsearch.com. And in fact, if your listeners are interested, Phil, they can get free access to that course. Just use code SEO Steve, my little handle. And if they want to use that, it's like a $600 program, and they'll get free access to it. It's called academyofsearch.com. And I'm more than happy to share that course. We're going to be evolving it, over the next few months, since Google's made some recent updates. But that promo code will stay, forever. So please enjoy, learn, the different disciplines of search, from technical to content to off-page, local SEO, e-commerce SEO. All of those different lessons are available if your listeners are interested.
Well, I can already tell you, I already, when you filled out the form before we met, I went on and I used it.
Cool.
Because it's a great, anything that's free that can help me better my business, but also help my clients better their business.
Yep.
It is a golden opportunity, and it is so valuable. I've already learned so much from it.
I'm a checklist guy too, Phil. So I've packed that thing full of our templates that we use for our own clients, as well as, all the checklists that you need for each of those different areas of search. So if you're a checklist guy like I am, you'll love that.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a great service. Do check it out. I haven't dove deeply into it. I've done kind of one piece from here and there of it, but it's like you said, the checklists are amazing. The templates are even better, because it just goes, okay, I can start here, I can edit here, post there, and make it a little better for myself.
Do your own audits. How about that? Don't pay $20,000 to a consultancy when you can do your own audit for free.
And also, if you have something I've learned, if you have at least a base knowledge on a subject, when you get to a point where it's going to be it costs more money for you to do it yourself than paying someone, you already know the basic of it. So you're not getting, when someone's charging $2,400 or $10,000, you're like, I know what I should be getting for this price point. And if they're not delivering, this is not worth my while.
So important to know the what, even if you don't know the how, for sure.
Yeah. So Steve, I'm going to ask you the penultimate question.
Okay.
What is the ultimate goal in your life? Like for Steve, if I snap my fingers, we're at the pearly gates, we're at whatever type of deity you believe in. It's the end of your life. Have you reached a goal? What was that goal you wanted to reach?
I think for me, as my kids graduate over the next couple of years from high school, and my wife and I, start planning our next phase of our life, for me, it's about kind of being that digital nomad. I think I want to pack up the laptop and, spend some time traveling the world with my wife a little bit. And, I think that, to me, discovering new places, new people, new cultures, new tastes, new sounds, new smells, new festivals of the world. For me, that's really what's next on my list, I think, and something I'm excited about.
Oh, I'm excited to read up on you creating a travel journal and living the digital nomad, the Steve Wiideman.
That's going to be great. We'll see.
CEO of Digital Lifestyle. I love it.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, Phil, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for letting me share a little bit of my experience as an entrepreneur, and a little bit of background on some SEO points. I think that might help people. Some free training for people who didn't get as much SEO content as they wanted. Like I said, you could use that Academy of Search, or you could tag me on social. I'm SEO Steve everywhere.
Yes, excellent. Just before we jump out, Steve, one book you would suggest either for learning more about SEO or to be a better entrepreneur?
Read my textbook. It's SEO strategies and skills, available through Stukent, Stukent. Go to Stukent, look for SEO, and grab my textbook. But no, seriously, some of the books that I like to read that I've used in the past include The Art of SEO. Rand Fishkin played a role in that one. And then one of my favorites that my boss at Disney gave me back in the day that's been updated over the years is by Bill Hunt. And that's just Search Engine Marketing, Inc. That was a really good foundational book on all of the different areas of SEO to pay attention to. And Bill Hunt's just a genius. So.
Excellent. Of course, your book will be linked in the show notes down below. I'll do that.
Oh, thank you.
Because it is worthwhile. The links to the Academy of Search will be there, as well as all the links to follow Steve, either his personal stuff or the business as well, because it's worthwhile to be following these entrepreneurs because they are experts. Steve, I'm going to you already pretty much sold everywhere we can find you. So I'm not going to give you, usually I give the last 5 minutes, but you already did that, preempted me. Well done, podcaster. Steve, I want to thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure speaking with you, learning about your entrepreneurial journey, your SEO knowledge. I'm looking forward to having you back again, maybe next year on the podcast.
Anytime.
See where you are. Thank you so much. Any final words you want to leave my audience?
Just don't be scared to leave your corporate job to be an entrepreneur. It was so worth it. I'll never look back. If you need help, if you need guidance, if you need someone to be a second set of ears for you, you know how to find me on social. I love helping people. So take that step. I'm your wingman. Count on me, and hopefully together we can get you out of the corporate world and being a successful entrepreneur.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thanks to my wonderful guest, Steve Wiideman of,
Wiideman.
Sorry. Wiideman. I can't thank you enough, sir, for being a guest, and I wish you a pleasant day. And to my audience, remember to invest in yourself. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I want to thank you for your support. It means so much. If you're looking to launch your podcast, I have the ultimate 7 steps to launch a successful podcast. I wrote it myself. So if you're interested, send me an email at book@fulfillment.If.com and I will send you the link where you can get it. It's only $7.99 and your support would mean so much. So I thank you so much, and let's go. And thank you so much. Your support is fuck me, call this. See. Hey guys, I want to thank you so much for continuing to listen to the podcast. Your support means everything to me. If you would like to know how I launched multiple podcasts in only 7 steps, make sure you send me an email. The email address is book@fulfillment.If.com. Again, that is a book, BOOK, at fulfillment.If.com. When you send me the email, you'll get a link to buy the book. I can't wait for you guys to read it and let me know what you think. So have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.